So welcome back, and this is our last session we were looking at under the kind of broad heading of calm and centred. This is a really interesting piece of work that we're about to do on weaving. And I think traditionally when we think about weaving, we think about kind of large looms and very complicated equipment and machines, and in reality, at its most basic, weaving is a very, very simple activity to do. And I suppose initially it really connects with a very kind of a gentle, reflective practice of thinking about, well, what is it that I want to make? What materials do I want to use? Is it, let's say, a small piece for a gift? Is it something maybe a little bit larger you want to make, maybe like a table runner or table mats? Or I want to make maybe a garment like a scarf and kind of add pieces together? Well, we're going to show you a couple of kind of versions of looms. And after that, really it's down to you deciding what kind of way you want to integrate it. Some of the best work I've ever seen was from a group of transition year students. I had a number of years ago and we were doing weaving, and we had just made some very, very simple wooden looms, just basically a square wooden frame, and even an old picture frame that you put small little screws along the top and the bottom, make an absolutely perfect loom that you can make up very quickly yourself. Anna's going to show you a couple of versions of them. And really it's something that you can very much be creative around the materials that you weave in. We're going to use some fabric, some wool and some paper. But even I've seen students weave in maybe things like pieces of stick, pieces of metal, that you can weave in to make something that's very, very creative and three-dimensional. So I'm going to hand over to Anne now, and she's going to bring you through a little bit more of the process, and we're going to do up a couple of small samples just to kind of guide you in that process. But there are loads of tutor videos on YouTube, etc., around simple weaving techniques and designing and making simple looms.
Okay, great, thanks Billy. Yeah, and like Billy said, this is the most basic form of it, and there is so many different variations of it and what you can do with it, and designs, a bit like what we spoke about the cross stitch area, where you could actually put your own design and then you can create the weave around that. Or if you were doing a larger piece, you could actually take fabric, you know, and use the fabric to weave in if you were going to make a mat or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even go with our tie-dyeing, and you could make up your own fabric, and so you could actually expand it hugely, in fact, if you had students who were really into that creativity part of it.
So would you make strips of fabric then and use the strips of fabric?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of the wool, you just use strips of fabric and then you weave that through. But like if they were going to make a bigger, like if they were going to make a piece the size of the table or something like that, do you know what I mean? Obviously they'd have to do the square, like the loom, like you said, with the nails on it. But I mean, one of the more basic ones is you know, a cereal box. I used to have a bit of card here, basically. Right, and all you're going to do is you're just going to cut in little slits about maybe an inch in at the either end, like that, and so you end up with both ends. And then what you're going to do then is just going to get a bit of wool. You can use string either, you know, or anything like that, and all you're going to do is put one up here like that, connect it in here, so you have a little bit behind here, and you go up and down, up and down like that, so you're just creating that, and you will then obviously end up with this here. You tie it at the back, the two bits that, you know, from here and here, so then really you're ready to go. That's as simple as it is. So you know, the kids can make that themselves. It's really, really easy to make that loom, and that's one that we can use, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. Then I have this one here. This is a wooden one. It's from a children's little craft box actually, but again it's the same premise, you know. It has the slits here where the wool has been put around like that, and it's been woven. As you can see, you see the way it's gone in there a little bit. That does happen. So sometimes when you're going to do that, you need to manage how you stretch it out as you're going along so that it doesn't actually go in. So this is now ready to be cut and to be put into, this can be used as a little pencil case actually, because you know the plastic needles we were using earlier, we could use those then to stitch the sides, and it can be used like that. And then you can embellish it with any of the little buttons or even the love heart stickers and the pom-poms that we put on those yesterday. And then another option then is basically, and maybe Hannah, I know probably for your age group this might be the best one, is just getting an A4 piece of card and just cutting it in here like that to about 1 inch, and then you go like that, right? And so then you cut the strips, so there's just a variety of strips there, you know, whatever, and they can be varying size as well. So I just went with those ones, but like you can do them thicker if you want either, you know, and literally, again, you can use, you know, sometimes you get the serrated scissors, you know, with the design on it that the young kids can use. Again, they could do that and they'd have a little design on their paper as well. So how it works, so you have all your pieces, so and I'll give those to you there. Okay, Philly, will I give you that one?
Yep.
Yep, okay, and I just have different textures there on the wool. So we have like a double knit, and this one is kind of a velour, so that's going to give texture, and this one then is like a ball, so again it will give different texture. So, you know, depending on what the student might like or mightn't like, might depend on what you're doing. Or likewise from the nature walk, maybe they've brought back some leaves or bark or something like that, and you could use that. Okay, so basically what you're doing is, it's really under over, that's literally what it is. So what you're going to do is, you're going to, because I've come over this one, I'm going to go under it in the next row. Now you can put this on a needle. This craft thing comes with one of these little shuttles, right? I just don't use it, I find it a bit awkward, but you know, people might find that easier. Or the plastic needle, you could thread up the plastic needle and use it, but I think really it's just as easy to use your hands actually. So under, over, it's quite repetitive basically, and the key thing you have to remember, because really it's the oldest form of making a fabric, that's what it is, you know, weaving. So you need to make sure that if you're over on the row before, then you're under on the next row. So you wouldn't really, now it can be a design feature in, you know, as you progress in it, that you might have two like that, but in general this is what you're looking at, right? So you're going under, over, and it's alternating. And that's it, and you just keep going, and once you get a number of rows together, you got to push them up or use a comb to actually push it and to make it tighter. Now you can have it loose, but obviously, you know, when you actually take it off the loom, then it might start to come apart a little bit for you. But again, like the cross stitch, it's repetitive. So literally it's under, over, and it can be quite, you know, it can be quite therapeutic actually, just to be doing the same action over and over again.
And do you tie it at the end of the first one?
You can tie it at the end, or you can just leave it hanging, if you leave enough hanging at the back. But yeah, you can just do a double there, yeah, perfect.
And can I mix the materials that I use? So
of course, you can do whatever.
Wool and some paper?
Totally, absolutely. Or like your fabric or whatever, you could totally mix it up. I think actually for all age groups, perhaps even, you know, the paper one actually can be one that's really good to start with, because you actually get the motion.
To get the idea.
Yeah, to get the idea of how to do it, yeah.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised at how long that would actually take younger children, 4 and 5, because there's a lot of fine motor skills involved there.
And so literally, again, this could be a project that they start at week 1 and they're continuing it right throughout, depending on what they're actually making. And again, in the workbook, there's guidance with regard to what they're going to make, exploring the whole concept of weaving as well, and you know, where it came from, and then maybe what their design ideas are. So again, like all the other craft bits, you can make it as big or as small as you would like. Like Billy said, if it was for, you could make little coasters. So if I was making coasters, I'm obviously not going to use one that size. I'm going to cut a square, that would be the size of my coaster, and then I can make my 4 coasters or whatever, you know. If I was to make a table runner, I suppose there's a few options there. I might go with a larger loom if I have somebody who can maybe put that together for me, or I might do smaller ones and then attach them all together so that I can still have that. And again, you can put into the card like we did yesterday with the cross stitch, where you can actually weave something and then put it into the card. But it is quite, when you feel it after it's done, you know, there's a lot of texture there in it actually as well. And the design and the colours, and you know, they can decide the wool that you use, the colours, everything is totally up to the students really themselves and what they would like to to do. How are you finding that, Billy?
I'm very calm. I get lost in these activities. I really enjoy them because I find just that sense of it, you're creating a sense of order all the time, and even as it develops there's just I've only done a kind of 2 or 3 lines there, but it's just that gentle repetitive nature. Now I would tend to really enjoy these types of activities with a bit of music on in the background, and I find actually sometimes with these kinds of activities it's much easier to just chat to people when you're doing something.
Yeah.
So that it's not all about the conversation, it's just a bit more gentle, and it allows for those pauses. So that's why I think for this kind of a summer program, activities like these are great, because what they do is they create a distraction to allow people to communicate with each other and to kind of make connections. And I remember teaching a class of all boys weaving a number of years ago. And what we did was everyone did a different weave, again all the very same size, and we sewed them all together and made a very large wall hanging for the school. And it was really lovely because it was representative of everybody in the actual year group, and they were all involved in it. So it was a lovely way of both working individually and working collectively.
Yes.
So even then looking at the planning of all the different squares, what square went where, balancing them all out on the overall plan. It looked great, and it was again a lovely way of, even if there was a number of students doing the summer programme, that they might do a small section together and then put it all together as a kind of a representation of their programme. And like for example,
they could frame it then as well.
And you could put your bunting around the base at the top of it as well. You could, there's loads of ways of there's no absolute right or wrongs in this.
And if you want, you can do a circular weave as well. So that's literally where you just cut the circle and you do the same idea around the edge, but you're just doing it. So likewise, like you're saying with the bunting, you could actually cut the triangle, or if you were doing a rectangle, and just like we said yesterday, the bunting doesn't always have to be like a triangle, so you could do the weave. The other thing as well that you might find if you're working with a number of students, that maybe some of the other creative pieces we did yesterday mightn't suit everybody, so you could actually have 2 or 3 students, but they could all be doing one of the different craft ideas, but you could have a thematic approach maybe to it, where they're all picking a theme, but somebody's working with the cross stitch, somebody's working with the weaving, and it could be worked like that, so there's lots of opportunities there to be creative with it. And I'm just showing you then how to take it off the loom. So what you do is you just pop it over here. It'll be the same for this one. The paper one probably, Hannah, is just
would stay in the frame like this, and I think you can probably fold in the ends of those behind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but with this one, all you're doing is cutting it and just tying a knot on it like that. And even for, even probably maybe 2nd, 3rd class or whatever, even if they have dolls and, little cots and beds at home, they could actually weave, a blanket or something like that for their doll.
Or for the picnic that we were doing yesterday, they could weave a picnic basket for if they were bringing pennies or toys or anything with them.
And so that's literally all you do, is you just put it off there, cut it here and tie a knot on it. Now what we could also do, if you wanted, is we could actually make pom-poms, right? And the pom-poms then could be attached to the end here as well. So you could actually embellish this a little bit more, like that. And that's it. There, how's that wool actually, Billy, coming along?
It's fine. Yeah, it works, but again, if you're alternating so that you're pushing them down, so that it ends up fitting a full line of them. So there's
I see. All right. Okay. So there's lots of texture in that one actually. And literally that's how you finish it off. Just knot it off, and it comes off the loom, and there you go. Right. And I've done that side there, so you can see, and then I would just do the top bit then as well, and you're finished with it, and it stays well intact. And it's quite dense actually as well when you actually feel it. So yeah, so that's really for just a very basic one, obviously. And like Billy said, there is lots of tutorials actually if you have a student who wants to be more creative with the design feature of it, that you could actually do that with them. The other piece as well is like the way Billy was doing the alternating row, you know, he was doing 2 different colours. You see, he didn't cut the other one, because what he'll do then is he would bring that on again if he was doing a stripe. So they don't need to be cutting the wool, because it's more secure that way.
That's great. Thanks a million.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. So enjoy your weaving, and we really look forward to seeing you sharing some samples of your work on social media.